You know, this is like the final. I'm done in Flagstaff. My marriage with him is done. I'm starting this new life.
Okay, all right. It's kind of the...
Thank you. It was fun hanging out
Meri,
with you
it's
today.
the end of an era.
Well, yeah, it is.
What I'm seeing here is Robin being an advocate of me and Meri and our reconciliation in our marriage. And they're making me feel very uncomfortable.
We're family, but we're not acting married.
My relationship with Meri is at best just distant and amicable.
Like the relationship between he and I is gone. It's dead. It's over.
You know, I could buck up, put my backpack on and go for a run, be tough about it, but I'm not interested. I was in a terrible relationships.
Friends recently that I didn't want to be an advocate of plural marriage anymore.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, November 21st, 2024. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm stuck in the rabbit hole of the Brown family, and Kody Brown is going to have a blubbering, crying meltdown about Meri leaving, which is one part completely hysterical because he has spent years trying to get her to leave him and has said horrible things about her. And another part just completely narcissistic because the tears are completely self-serving and they're being used not because he's sad about Meri leaving, but he is using the tears as a tool to manipulate and blame other people for why the family fell apart. Can you even stand it? Kody and Robin might be the exact same in how they use tears. And did you know that narcissists actually use tears as a way to manipulate? I'm sure you did. So season 19 is in full swing. It's been most of my content on this channel. And I do apologize because I've been sick almost all of November. And I haven't had the bandwidth to even think about making other content because I am sick. Right now, I'm on antibiotics and I have a sinus infection. I have had a cold since before Halloween. So if you're asking, Katie, why is your content the same all the time? That's why. Now let's dive into what's going on with the Browns. Meri Brown and Kody Brown are the OGs. They actually started the family back in the early 1990s. Kody and Meri met and married within a 6-month time frame. And Kody was eager to collect as many women as possible so that he could have his harem. He wanted the 3 wives necessary in order to get his kingdom. And then as he added the wives and he got all of his egos stroked, soon he got bored. And then 16 years later, they brought in Robin. That's where the story picked up for us. But how it's ending is very different than how it started. And Kody's going to help Meri move out. But let's remind you some of his behavior before we get to that point.
If you're going to marry and you're going to marry for eternity, you should start out in love. But I never really actually suffered in a fit of passion in this place.
Kody sometimes says stuff you shouldn't say. Love you, but you do.
Saying that you don't want to be intimate with Meri right now. Is that still where things stand?
Yes.
I think I want more of a relationship with him.
I'm exhausted. Who cares? If you're not with me, you're against me. F off. You know, I'm just like that way. Ironically, Meri's trying to support me and I don't want to be in a relationship with her anymore.
Well, don't blame me for not loving you. I was doing my duty. Blame yourself if I don't love you, okay?
I feel like I'm just doing my life by myself. That's not what I signed up for.
Meri, listen, I'm not trying to be mean about this, but
I'm not saying you're being mean.
You said get out of my life. You said get out of my life to me.
Kody, you said I'm not willing to cross a burning bridge for you
I don't
anymore.
remember saying that. We're not working like a family. We're not a family. we're acting like enemies.
Yeah, you have to know that Janelle and I might have never married Kody. I mean, we wouldn't have married him on our own. It took Meri pulling some strings.
We bonded with Janelle and Christine before it was a serious thought in my mind. Meri's the bait.
Yeah. And he's sitting here telling Robin, that's the agreement that you and I made, that if I ever felt like that, then I wouldn't hold you in this place. You know, like their agreement of, you know, their sacred covenant. You know what I mean? And I'm like, then why did you not respect me enough as a human being?
I know that there were spiritual reasons for why this family got together. And I know that when the show started, there was a specific agenda that they were going to have, right? They wanted to promote polygamy. But along the way, the show deviated, jumped the shark, and stopped promoting polygamy and started actually showing the harms of polygamy, from the narcissism that is bred throughout the entire cult, the henpecking that happens between the women, the fighting, the cattiness, the pettiness, the competition, the comparisons, Kody's nitpicking, control, the patriarchy, the verbal abuse, the neglect. We started to see all of it. And instead of closing the door and saying, all right, we are off our mark, instead of doing that, because Kody had never had a job that made him the kind of money he was making other than the show, and he has no other income revenue that would generate him the kind of money he's making on the show if he leaves the show, he continues to film and sign his families into contracts. And now the women are still on contracts with Kody. And at this point, the show is nothing more than money. That's it. Throughout the years, since at least 2015, Meri has not had a relationship with Kody. They have not really spent a lot of time together other than maybe a drunk hookup every once in a while, a drunk anniversary, like she said in the last episode. But for the most part, Meri's had no relationship with anyone. Kody has pushed her away. In fact, she actually initiated pushing him away with the catfishing issue, even though he pushed her away before that. He's been trying to get rid of Meri since 2008. Just marinate on that. And so for him to now be sad that she's leaving is just Kody trying to rewrite history again, that he's the victim of Meri leaving him. And he's so sad that this all happened, but he's the one that started this and initiated this and said, I don't want to advocate for polygamy anymore. The family is getting in the way of my goals as a person. I don't believe in this faith. I never loved my wives. I only married them so I could get into heaven. I only married them so I could have my harem. He has said atrocious things, and he's even said, blame yourself for me not loving you to Meri. So let's dive into the new clip of what Kody's going to say to Meri.
It was a great run, but I'm not going to let it get me down.
Always blows me away that you get emotional like this. I just don't understand.
It's just, I'm looking at my life and it feels not turned upside down. It feels like everything just, we had something.
I wanted to know about these tears because I don't understand how he can be crying here, right? And I found an article on Psych Central, and it says, do narcissists have feelings, the other side of the ego? And when do they cry? Dr. Thomas G. Plant, who's a licensed psychologist, said certainly narcissists can care about others and their feelings, but they do so in service of their own needs and desires as a rule. It means that if you have narcissism, you may cry from regret or remorse, but not with empathy at its source. So he may be feeling embarrassed, for example, about being criticized for their part in a distressing situation. They may feel sadness or regret that whatever happened paints them in a negative light. So he can be crying over being criticized, feeling shame, feeling regret, but he's not crying because he's actually sad about it being over. He's sad about how he's failed. He's sad that he's been criticized. He's sad that his dream blew up, that he destroyed. And at the root of his tears, there's no conversation to Meri about, I messed up. I treated you poorly. I pushed you away. There's no empathy for the plight that he put Meri through for all of those years. He doesn't connect at all to the fact that his behavior and what he did to Meri is what caused her to leave. It's like that doctor said, there's no empathy at the core. It's just all about him. But let's continue.
We had something really good.
We had something special. And it feels like it just all went to sort of, you know? And it was just one thing and then another thing. And it's all okay. I don't feel like I'm not bitter anymore. I'm not angry. I'm glad you and I got that figured out.
I see a lot of hysterics, but not a lot of tears. It all also seems very self-serving. He also has cameras on him, and Kody likes to create drama, and he knows that drama sells. I do wonder if cameras weren't there, if the tears would be there. That's just my thought. My other thought is that, again, in the tears, there's no discussion whatsoever that his behavior is the root cause of all of this. And then even in that moment where he says, "I'm just glad that I'm not bitter and I'm not angry and I'm glad we worked that out." Again, saying like, "Meri, it was your fault that I did all of this to you because I was bitter and angry with you. And now I'm not bitter and angry with you. We're fine." I do wonder though, and I just wonder this, they say this when they're face to face, but then they do their interviews with the producers, okay? And they film and then they don't do their couch interviews until a couple months later. And then they sometimes have to reshoot them even months later after that. So they have to revisit these moments. And they say things that are very not, they're mean about each other. They're direct. They're not kind often. And Kody, throughout this season, has claimed he's in a good place with Meri. But then he, in the same breath, has made things and said things like, "Blame yourself for not loving me. I was never in love with her. We only had F and F relationships, fight and fuck," right? And all she was an orgasm. She wasn't love. And how does that affect the relationship that you just repaired if they hear that months later? It makes everything else seem that happens face to face fake because to the couch, they don't say things to each other that they say on the couch. And this family probably wonders why they don't get along. I know polygamy is a problem, but so is the show. But let's continue.
I'm glad that we were able to be friends. I'm glad that you're my favorite ex-wife. But it's the weirdest thing to be in that place. It is just heartbreaking in a way. And I love the life I have, but it's a very different life than what I had 3 years ago. You know, and it just seemed like everybody else just went, "This isn't important."
Everyone else said this isn't important. Everyone else said that, right, Kody? Everyone else gave in and threw away your dream, and all they said was, "This isn't important," right? That's what he just said. So he's sitting there crying about what has happened, taking no responsibility for his own role. He doesn't say to Meri, "I know that I said I didn't want to advocate for polygamy anymore. I know I said that polygamy was getting in the way of my goals. I know that I said, I just wonder if those that aren't so happy could just leave. Why should people have to stay if they're not happy? I know I said if they don't like it, they can leave. Anyone can leave. No one is a prisoner here." When proposing the one house idea, he said a con to the one house idea was that if people decide they'd want to leave, they wouldn't have an estate or their own title to a property, and it would make the divisions of assets harder. He was looking for an out before they even got to Flagstaff. He and Meri have been in a state of horrible position since like 2014, even before that, before their divorce, for 10 years. Christine wanted to leave Kody in Vegas because of how she was being treated, because of his neglect of her kids, because of what happened to Truly. He was a negligent father that because of his negligence and relying on teenage girls to manage the care of a 2-year-old, which should never have happened, that girl went into kidney failure and almost died. It was his responsibility. And he said Christine blames him for that to this day. And I would say, good, she should. He says other people didn't think it was important, even though he told them that he didn't want it. He didn't want to be a polygamist. He didn't want to advocate for it. He told them over and over and over. And then he made rules and created division, caused did very abusive things to the different wives. With Janelle, he attacked her children. He berated them publicly. He said that he hated her children. He called his son Garrison, who is now deceased, a narcissist. He went on a years-long campaign against his son Garrison and berated him and belittled him. He then went on to call Janelle names for not being obedient, compliant, and loyal. With Christine, he told her he wasn't attracted to her. He was never attracted to her. He was only attracted to her pedigree. He told Christine that she was being entitled and a princess and that she wasn't just being grateful for what she was getting. He took her to therapy and wouldn't talk about their relationship, just wanted to talk about his big picture. He neglected these women for so many years and spent all of his time getting his pencil wet with Robin. And I'm sure in that same period, he was more than likely hitting on other women. Because here's some more tea for you. I have spoken to multiple women who have been in contact with Kody in relation to either the show or in real life. And they have said that when the cameras are not on, Kody is flirting with any woman that will look at him. Kody is trying to engage with women, flirting with them, and doing it right in front of his wives, to the point that the wives got used to Kody just blatantly flirting and chasing girls when the cameras weren't off. And then when the cameras were on, he was like, I'm the best dad, I'm the best husband. I talked to a woman that met him at a gun show, and she was another vendor, and she said that when she was there working, he would constantly go back to talk to her. He would like shake her hand and touch her a little bit too long. Like she felt as though he was hitting on her, like he was interested in her, that he wanted to go on a date with her. I talked to another woman who claims that she actually met Kody on a dating site while he was in Vegas, and she claims that he told her that he was an actor and that he really was divorced and wasn't involved with any of these women, even Robin. When you start to add up all the different women I have talked to that have told me they've either been hit on by Kody, or they've been asked out by Kody, or they've met him somewhere, it's all the same. Kody's behavior is what caused all of this. His ego is what caused all of it. And the people that thought it wasn't important weren't he means it wasn't important enough for them to stay and me to fake it so that I could look like a god. But then in the same breath, in episodes 2 days ago, or 2 episodes ago, he says he's out of polygamy and he's just so happy. So which is it? You're either blaming people or you're out of polygamy and you're happy, but it's definitely not your fault. And the tears are fake and phony, and they're about as legitimate as the tears that come out of Robin's eyeballs, because they don't. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss it. Bye, everyone.